All right, greetings. So, turn up the video speed. Considering I outright own a house, why would I rather live in this van or an OTR rig rather than live in my house? Well, I'm going to explain it. It's not just that I could rent out my house and have my life pretty much completely paid for. No. There's a lot more to it than that. But hey, what am I getting at? This is Freedom Phil. Like, subscribe, let's get into it, and hey, turn up the video speed. Why do I say that? Because you can listen to this video far faster than I can speak. It should be obvious. It's like this. I've got a lot of little problems that I have every time I live in society. Nothing big, just day to day problems that I really don't like dealing with. And see, my van, if I have a problem, I can just build a solution. I can, if I want more power, I've thought about adding 2 more panels on the front, you know? And if I need more storage capacity, I can just purchase that. Amazon will ship it to me. If I want, to cook something, well, I could use my rocket stove, wood-powered rocket stove, or I could use that unit on the back there where I've got a Camp Chef oven, I've got a dual burner Camp Chef full size, and a hibachi on the other side there. All runs off propane that's up there in that clamshell. I literally can just build solutions to any problem I have. In fact, I even got a refrigerator in there. Got all the power I need to produce from the sun, stores up in solar generator. And unlike my house, it's about 50, maybe 60 degrees today, which is really nice, by the way. Really enjoying this. Actually, I'm wearing shorts for change. It's about 85 degrees in the van. Midnight blue, big surprise. You know what the temperature of my house is if I don't open the windows to let the heat in? Yeah, not a funny concept. Because I'm not paying an obscene amount of money to heat that house. I'm not doing it. The cost to heat my house, because it stays a nice steady temperature of 48 degrees. My house is basically a spud cellar. How is that? The walls are about 2 inches shy of 2 feet thick for, I'd say, 2/3 of the house. The back that was built later is regular build. I've insulated it really well. And like, how did the house get that thick? Well, metal siding, giant stone block because it's an old railroad house, a little bit of an air gap, and then a bunch of brick, and then now 2x4 with foam insulation and 2 feet of blowing above. Yeah, you don't see too many houses like what I got. My house is basically like the masonry version of a straw bale house. You would think it'd be a little warmer in there, but it's not. It does hold its heat well when you heat it. But it costs an absurd amount to heat it with electric, and I want to put a wood stove there. But I'm going to turn it into a rental, so that's just a bad idea. Because, just because you're responsible doesn't mean the renters are. I got to pay an absurd amount of money if I want to live in that house during the winter. I have to pay maybe $120 worth of gas to go down south to the Nevada desert if I want to live in this temperature, this same temperature. Like it could be December and it might be 40, 50 degrees in the wasteland, the northern wasteland. Well, when I say northern, south of St. George, Moapa Valley, and you get a lot of nice days like this during January. February, it starts getting nice. March, it's getting warm. April, you're already moving to higher elevation. You're like, man, it's too hot down here. We got to go up in elevation, which is easy to do. No problems, no worries, no issues. Now, people say, what do you do about water? Water's simple. I can just go to any truck stop, a lot of parks, rest areas, all over the place. You can get free water all over the place if you know how to find it. You get online, you look for these type of things. You can also just pay for it. I don't know why you would, but yeah. And then what about bathing? Many a times I've stood in a river, or I just have a bucket of water and I'm just like, just washing myself, cleaning the parts. Not a big deal. And as far as the dark matter issues, dealing with bathroom, yeah, you guys are wind camping. You already know how to deal with that. No reason to go into that. Or you just use a composting toilet too. You do that. But basically, I have no problems. Next to no bills. My cost of living is basically nothing. I mean, I've even done the thing where I've hit up food banks and bum change, and I could live in perpetuity just traveling the country like this. So when I drive truck and I'm making around 80, 90, depends on the company. I could make 100K at some of these companies as a company driver. Because I have this, I don't have to worry about paying rent. It's kind of like a storage unit / apartment on wheels. So if my boss is becoming kind of swag, I can just be like, well, see ya. I'm migrating to the next company. I don't have an apartment full of crap. I don't have a house to sell or any of that garbage. No. And that's the thing a lot of people tend to forget. I travel light. It's like what Tom Leykis said, boys, don't get yourself tied down. I travel light, no problems, no issues. And to tell you the truth, that's funny. He used to do that when we were in the wasteland. He'd sleep under the van. It's hot. I'm going to go to the other side of the van where it's cool and the breeze goes right under it. Makes kind of like a little fan action because of the way it just curves. I don't have problems. Now let's go back to normie life, living in a house. Earlier today, I'm walking my dog coming back from the post office because we don't have mailboxes in this town because too much snow during the winter. It's just more convenient in a farm town to have one central post office. And somehow one of the neighbor dogs gets out. Most of the neighbor guy's dogs are okay. One of them, he hates him and he hates that other dog. They have that type of relationship. He thinks he's 10 feet tall, especially ever since he had to deal with my sister's Great Pyrenees. He absorbs some of that ultra gonna kill things energy. So he thinks he's 10 feet tall. So I grab him up, scoop him up. I've had many run-ins with these dogs before. One time I actually called the cops. After the third time, I told him, I said, this shit happens again, I'm going to call the cops. And I was true to my word. Felt a little bad about it, but you know what? We didn't have a problem for a really long time. And it usually always happens when somebody opens the door and they don't see what they're doing. It's like, it happens. I get it. So I just grabbed the dog. No harm, no foul. I don't have those issues in the wasteland, in the woods, or any of that. I don't have truck stops. You can have some issues, but for the most part, you're just kind of looking out for the problems. So then you got a situation with utilities, man. I make all the power I need. Got refrigeration, got all the power from my cell phones, my DS, my Switch. Got a TV in there. That panel up there on top, that's a whole separate system. That one just goes to a deep cycle battery. Yeah, I know I could have done a better system, but it works just fine for what I'm doing. And I got a little 12 volt with a battery rechargeable TV. Never run out of power. I produce more power than I can store because I only got a small Blue Eddy. I figure if I ever, fully retire, I'll buy a big Blue Eddy. Something that can store way more. I could actually expand and put 2 more panels on the front, move that black box back. Yeah, I could do a lot more of what I got here. In fact, I could move that black box. I could probably take off I got a generator box on the back. I could probably refigure some way to put that generator on the back temporarily, store it in something. Hell, I could just unsync the battle van and build a huge array on top of that. But that van only gets about 6 miles to the gallon, 6 to 8. It's a giant GMC value van. I can build a solution for anything I want when I deal with a van, when I deal with a tiny home. When I deal with a house, this is the water bill. This is what it is. I don't even think I use 1,000 gallons of water a month. When I shower to get clean. I'm just there really quickly, get washed up. I barely use any water at all. All the neighbors, I've seen cases where the neighbor lady, nothing against her, somebody shows up to turn on the sprinkler and they leave, they turn it on and it's on for 24 fucking hours in the same place. So why is my water bill, my minimum fee higher than everybody else's? They use more. Well, they get charged per gallon. Okay, so I got to pay this minimum fee of, it's basically $126. I would say $125 a month. And I only use about $1 something of water. Why do I got to pay that? Well, because you have the privilege of owning a house in a town. Yeah, I don't care for that. The power bill would used to have a minimum fee of $5 per month. That minimum fee is $20 or more now. So no matter how efficient I am, I'm paying a fee for things. And I get it. That's just the way the normie life is. I don't like it. Another thing I really don't like about living around normal people is how many of them in their little cliques. If you're on the West Coast, you got your passive aggressive, atheist, liberal, douchers. If you're in the farm towns, you got your religious right type of people that are all like, hey, we believe. I just want to point this out. I've always found it funny How many people? They'll look at a homeless person that's sitting there mumbling to themselves, having a conversation with the imaginary friend. And yet, if you get 40 people in a church building or 100 people or more, and they're all mumbling together, somehow that's sane. A bunch of those people, they all kind of decide on how society should be. What about that freedom of the individual, freedom of choice? No, no, no. And you can be as free as you want, but don't think that in any place, any town, anywhere in the world, whether it's the leftist douchers or the right-wing douchers, the cup of douche or the crusty turds, don't think that them, having their little hen conversations between themselves doesn't somehow affect you. Because these are the same people that can make it hard for you to get a job. So you either have to conform to a bunch of people, in a so-called free country. You have to conform to a bunch of what other people think, or you have to just deal with a bunch of crap. And that's part of the reason when it comes to working, I either drive truck or I don't. And eventually trucking won't exist. I'll have to figure something out at that point. Hell, maybe I'll just go back to being a nomadic bum. Fuck, I love being that. Free food from the food banks, and people hand me money. Tell me the downside. I mean, maybe I should just fake crazy. I know a lot of people that have done that. But the point of it is that when I'm out on the road driving truck, for instance, I make goddamn good money. And I don't have a lot of these problems because ain't nobody want to drive truck. Nobody. You got a handful of people that are like me, nomads by nature. You got some immigrants. But it's not a job people want to do. So all the usual rules don't apply. Let's be honest, what is a small town or a big city other than a bunch of Karens? HOA Karens, whether it's the Kens or the Karens, and then some of them get together and they agree with each other, whether it's the bar crowd that happen to agree with each other even if they're fucking wrong, or the church crowd. Like, common sense be damned. Mathematical mindset be damned. We all agree that we're right. That's what most of society is, in my opinion. And I don't care for it. And I could tell you some of the most peaceful times I've ever had were living in that van in the middle of goddamn nowhere. As where with my house. Between having to try to gotta keep it warm. And part of the reason I believe in outdoor kitchens is because I don't want any more humidity in the house. I don't want to have to heat that place any more than I have to. And so, like I said in another video, long-term plan is I'll have one place in the north that has nothing connected to it, maybe a well, maybe not. And one place in the south that has hopefully a well, maybe not. If I find a place to get water. Like, I found this little town, and they got a gym, they've got a library, buy a raw piece of land, show up there for seasonal parts of the year, ride a bike into town. Just like, what I could tell you that I do like about this town is you can ride your bike to everything. Got a library over here, go over there, download some books. I mean, I've got unlimited data, but still go over there and use their data, get my dollars back. Maybe check out a book or two. And then I can ride around anywhere I want around here. And the same thing, I want the same thing down there. Because normally on the front there, there's that weird apparatus on the front of the hood. That's a bike rack. But yeah, I have absolutely no motivation to be part of society. And let's being honest about this as a side point. The only real reason most men have any real motivation to be part of society is chicks want things. Women are like, well, I don't want to live in a van or an RV. And I look at the world and see, sounds like a you problem. And it's really that simple. And so, from my perspective, I'd rather be a drifter, a van lifer, a trucker, than ever settle down and be normal. All right, so there's some weirdos yelling something on yonder. So I'm going to click out, go upload this. Y'all take it easy. Freedom Phil, like, subscribe. And if you made it through this whole video at regular speed, I don't even know how you did it. Take it easy.